Hello and a very warm welcome. My name's Rupert Hoogewerf and I'm going to tell you a little bit today about the 2022 Hurun Global Art List, put out in association with our partners SICA, the Shanghai-based auction house, otherwise known in Chinese as Shanghai Guopai. In fact, this is the third year to be putting this list out in association with SICA, so many thanks to our partners. Now, the idea behind this list is to rank the most successful artists alive in the world today. And the methodology is a very straightforward, looking at the total value of the accumulated sales of these artists at public auction over the previous year. So in this case, from the 1st of Jan to the 31st December 2021. And whichever artist sold most over at public auction in the last year, that person is number one. And the idea behind this list started actually about 16 years ago. And I was in China doing the China Art List, and I was finding that a lot of these Chinese entrepreneurs, they had the means, but they just didn't know where to start with collecting. And they were art industry outsiders. And this has always been targeted at the outsider rather than the insider. The insider doesn't need us. They've got plenty of data telling him about the art industry. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're a wannabe collector, you've got the means, you just don't know where to start. And the idea behind this list was to rank, actually in the first instance, the most successful Chinese artists alive, and then give you a benchmark to start. And the reason I like I defined this list with alive artists was because you can meet them, you go for dinner with them, you go to their studio, you can shake their hand, you can. It just makes it much more real, I suppose, in that sense. Anyway. So that's how the list started until about 3 years ago. So we've been doing the China Art List for 15 years now. We then expanded to the India Art List. And I found the same thing with Indian entrepreneurs, that they had a lot of money, but just didn't know in many cases how to start collecting. So that was the idea behind the India Art List. And this list was really designed to put the Chinese and Indian artists into the benchmark of a world ranking. And see where they lie, and also if as these Chinese and Indians become bigger, their vision is not just to collect local artists, but also to go beyond and collect the best artists alive today. So with that as a background, go straight into the list itself. Number one is Gerhard Richter, the 90-year-old German artist, and his work sold for just over $200 million. That's more than double the previous year. Number two is a Brit and 40-year-old Banksy. In fact, his work sold for just under $200 million. In fact, he's an anonymous artist, and that's caused some sort of legal problems for when he's trying to ascertain rights to his works. And there's so many stories behind these artists. Actually, they're brilliant stories. Number three is a 93-year-old Japanese lady called Yayoi Kusama, and her works again sold for about $160 million. Followed by another Japanese, Yoshitomo Nara, and so on and so forth. That's how the list sort of continues. And to make the cutoff of this list this year required $15 million worth of sales, a very, very high benchmark for any artist alive today. And there's lots of ways of sort of researching, and trying to analyze this list. If you first of all look at where do these artists come from? 15 come from the US, so the US led, and 12 come from China. And 7 from the UK, 4 from Japan, 3 from Germany, and so on and so forth. So that gives you a flavor as to where the artists are coming from. Overall, this year's art list has been fantastic. It's grown by 50%, which is very much in line with the total art auction market in the last year as well. So the total art auction market has sort of grown by 60%. In fact, interesting enough, China's art auction market beat the US art auction market for the first time ever last year. And that sort of just to give you an idea, obviously COVID and the pandemic played a very large part in all that. When we look also at some of the trends behind this, I should probably just say the top Chinese artists, Cui Ruzhuo, he's 78-year-old Beijing-based, and his work sold for just under $100 million. Then you got the likes of Zheng Fanzhi, Zhou Chunyang, Zhang Xiaogang, and so on and so forth. These are big names. And I suppose if you're selling at that sort of level, you've got a lot of collectors behind you to sustain the value of these works at public auction. Some of the other trends that we've been seeing that's coming through, well, NFT. And one of the artists on this list is a British guy called Damien Hirst, and a bit of a celebrity artist, really. And he very publicly burnt 3,000 artworks, offering his owners or collectors the choice between the physical or the NFT, copy, if you like. And so 3,000 people chose the NFT, and so that's definitely a trend that's coming through at the moment. There's so many other trends that are worth looking at. For example, if you compare the two biggest nations on the world, China and India, they're both becoming rich very fast, but curious, very curious. If you look at the artists from China and the artists from India, there's a massive difference still. So the number 50 artist in China, his works are selling for probably around $2 million US. Number 50 in India is selling for like $20,000. So it's like 100 times different. The number one artist in China is Hurun China, as I just mentioned, and his work's selling for just under $100 million US. The number one artist alive from India today is actually London-based Anish Kapoor, and his works are selling for just under $3 million US. So again, a massive difference. Why? Well, that's another topic. But anyway, I hope that you can get something out of this list. And I really like it. I find it, as an outsider, I find it very simple, very easy to give you an idea as to who the big names are. And if you really want to understand what's going on in the world of art, just go into the stories of these artists, really tell you the story of modern contemporary art today. Thank you very much, and goodbye.